Welcome back, Franklin Pierce Schools team. It has been great seeing you virtually this week. I hope that you were able to find some time this summer to relax, to recharge, and recenter yourselves through these extraordinary times. I'd like to start by saying thank you. Thank you for sticking with your profession, your work, your colleagues, your students, and with all of us during a season of many unknowns. Now that I have had some time and space to look back on the past 6 months, our efforts to completely revamp our work basically overnight is nothing shy of remarkable. We weren't perfect, but I believe that we were and are doing the right thing. We prioritized the health and safety of our community. We paused our way of doing things so that we could tend to students' most basic needs. We were adaptive, persistent, and innovative, and we should be proud of that. Beyond our schools, there is a challenging backdrop that surrounds us all. First of all, we are in a global health pandemic, and people's health is being compromised every day. Marginalized people continue to be the hardest hit by the social, economic, and health realities of COVID. It's also important to note that political discourse continues to divide our country rather than heal. The ways that we care for one another is being politicized, and people feel emboldened to share their perspective at the expense of others. And finally, murders of Black people continue to shine a spotlight on the ways that racism permeates our structures, our systems, our interactions, and our minds. This is the same backdrop that our students, families, and community are also carrying with them into this school year. I cannot think of a more important avenue to provide hope, stability, and support during challenging times than through our schools. We have an individual and collective opportunity to walk with students and families through this historic and for some traumatic moment. When I think of challenging times in my own experience, the people that afforded me grace, flexibility, consistent compassion, and hope were the ones that helped me through. My hope is that we can find enough time, space, and energy to be able to do this for one another, for our students, and for our families. Last year, we outlined 3 priorities that we would focus on as a district: social justice and equity, improving instruction, and family and community engagement. There's often a temptation when we are in crisis mode to set aside our long-term priorities to focus on the urgent and immediate. I cannot think of anything that is more urgent and immediate in our work than to continue to focus on these 3 areas. First is social justice and equity. We are continuing to build an equity framework that expands staff training, invests in building equity teams, and keeps equity at the center of decision-making processes. We are asking critical questions about the role of SROs in our schools and how this impacts students. We are looking at ways to enhance culturally relevant curricular offerings and instructional practices. Following the murder of George Floyd last spring, I shared that silence is not an option, as it sends a message of complicity and complacency to our students and families. I fully recognize that we are all in different places in our anti-racist journeys, yet hope that each of us can continue to learn, grow, and transform for the sake of ourselves and for our students, staff, and families of color that have to confront oppression. Second is to improve instruction. As the learning environment shifts, our ability to offer meaningful, relevant, and thoughtful instruction becomes even more important. While educators rely on relationships to serve as a foundation for learning, we are finding new ways to build rapport with students online, to help them develop a curiosity toward learning, and to develop skills to approach learning beyond the walls of the school building. And finally, family and community engagement. We've always known that no one wants our students to succeed more than their families. During remote learning, we have been reminded of the pivotal role that families play and the need to view families as co-facilitators of student learning. This pandemic has placed added strain on our community, and we will continue to work hard to address the barriers that prevent students from learning. Our counselors continue to mobilize resources. Our nutrition services and transportation staff will continue to provide thousands of meals each day. Our IT department will continue to support student learning through laptops, Wi-Fi hotspots, and offering technical support. As we start this school year, I hope that each of us can continue to see families as critical partners in our work. When we were able to bring 1,000 people together for our annual Superintendent's Day last year, Sean Good challenged us to see problems as possibilities. As we view our world and the challenges associated with remote learning, we don't have to think too hard to identify the problems around us. My hope is that we can also see the possibilities in our midst. Possibilities to connect, possibilities to dream, possibilities to improve, possibilities to transform, possibilities to hope, and possibilities to inspire. Thank you all for your time and preparation on behalf of our students and families. Please be sure to give yourselves grace in the weeks ahead. I look forward to our year together.